C'est ça? Good evening, everyone. Hi. Hello. Hi. My name is Florence Budden, and I'm the chair of the Champions Gala. We're going to ask everybody to start taking their seats, if you would mind, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Holohan, and I'm the co-chair of the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health. And we're delighted to welcome you all to our gala tonight to celebrate our 2022 Champions of Mental Health. Hey! So to start the evening, I would like to invite Elder Luella Tobias to come forward and open our time together in a good way. Thank you.
Nanabosho, Nanibwa, Nantagze, Megazekwe, Genudo them. Let's see. Semigwach to the Algonquin people for this unceded, unsurrendered land, and to thank them for the sacrifice that they made, that we would have a place here, and the sacrifice that our people made to ensure that to ensure that we had 7 generations yet to go, and we look forward to that as we look forward to our children, to our grandchildren, and the land in the way that we take care of it in this generation will impact them so very much. And so we say miigwech to the Algonquin people for this place. I ask you, good and kind Creator, to look upon this gathering in a good way and to help those people who have done their work, their mental health work, as well as their physical, emotional, and spiritual work, to gain that knowledge that they need to be able to contribute in whatever way that they were given in the beginning time. However, the Spirit has helped them, has guided them, and has worked with them to be able to understand balance, understand how to maintain balance within mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And say miigwech for all of the people that have gathered and that have put their good thoughts and good energy into helping each and every one of those gifted people to come forward and to understand how much they contribute and how much they're worth and how much they're needed within Ottawa and within their own world. Miigwech.
Good evening, everyone. As the co-chair of the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health, I'm delighted to say a few words of welcome to tonight's Champions of Mental Health Gala Awards, alongside my fellow chair, Kim Collin. To our members of Parliament, Minister Bennett, distinguished guests, family, friends, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. The Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health is delighted to, again, be recognizing 7 Canadians who are important voices for mental health across Canada, who continue to offer support for others in the community. Not only are we celebrating these amazing Canadians, but we are also honored to do so in person again for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic. We are also thrilled to have some of past former champions and past faces of mental illness in the crowd tonight, and it's an honor to be able to be with you tonight and to celebrate properly. We're also very honored to have Minister Carolyn Bennett with us, the very first Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. Thanks.
Au cours des 2 dernières années, nous avons tous vu et ressenti l'impact de la pandémie au niveau national, mais aussi en tant qu'individus. As Canadians adjust to the myriad of changes that have occurred and have affected our physical and mental health these past few years, CAMIMH is committed to continuing to be at the forefront of mental health and substance use health advocacy. You may have noticed that our theme for this event, as well as for Mental Illness Awareness Week 2022, is reconnecting, rebuilding, and restoring. This theme accurately represents how we all feel about this event, but also how we all feel as we move forward to a post-pandemic world. We are reconnecting with you all today, and also with ourselves as we rebuild and restore not only our own mental health, but our mental health systems and supports. We are committed to prioritizing mental health and substance use health issues, educating Canadians, and promoting appropriate, inclusive, and timely treatments and care. We ask you to join us in our commitment and vision of a country where all enjoy good mental health. Once again, on behalf of Ellen and I, and all of the members of the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health, welcome to the gala and have a lovely evening. So I'd now like to introduce our chair of champions, our long-standing chair of the Champions Gala, so a familiar face to many in the room, I'm sure, Florence Budden.
So I made a promise I would do this for Chloe. Chloe asked me to do this, so I'm going to do this once. There she is. Good evening, everyone. And as the Chair of Champions Mental Health Awards campaign, and on behalf of CAMIMH, I'm really pleased to welcome all of you to the 2022 Champions Mental Health Awards Gala. I'm so happy that we get the opportunity to gather in person again, finally, to celebrate 7 very notable Canadians who continue to strengthen the mental health landscape across our country. Annually, the goal of the CAMIMH's Champion of Mental Health campaign remains the same. We continue to engage Canadians in a national conversation about mental illnesses and advocate for recovery without stigma. Every year, our champions are the people that help us to push those goals forward through their amazing work and what they do in their own communities. Our 2022 champions have done exceptional work through creating mental health support programs for students and colleagues, leading the fight for services for all peoples in Canada, and by helping create laws in Canada that aim to put mental health in parity with physical health. Champions, all of you in this room, we are so proud of the work you do, and it is my honor to be here tonight to celebrate you. And we are so thrilled to be able to do this in person. Thank you all for being here and helping us celebrate tonight. And I wish all of you an amazing evening. Take this opportunity to celebrate the work that you do, to meet old friends, make new friends, and to take the opportunity to just say, wonderful, we're all together. It's so great. It is my great pleasure now to have the opportunity to introduce a fellow Newfoundlander and Labradorian, a mental health advocate, an author, and an amazing musical performer. Many of you know Sean McCann from Great Big Sea, where he was one of the founding members, but many...
Sorry.
It's okay, I had a crush on the whole group when I was growing up too. But right now we also know him as the Shanty Man. So Sean McCann, I'd like to welcome you to our gala.
Thank you, Florence. Florence Budden, ladies and gentlemen. I'm plugging in, guys. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean, and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Sean. And this is the weirdest AA meeting I've ever attended. In case you're in the wrong place. I don't drink anymore. I gave it up. I'll be sober 11 years, November 9th. Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much, and I'm seriously sober. I'm not this like California sober thing. There's no ganja, no anything. I don't drink anything. Not even water, like zero, nothing. I'm completely dry. And people often ask me, like, how did I manage to do that? And the reality is, like many addicts before me, I embraced my higher power. And her name is Andrea, and she's my wife. Take this opportunity, shameless merch plug. Our book, One Good Reason, the best parts are written by Andrea, my wife, who couldn't be here tonight because she's home looking after our kids. But anyway, that's a little bit about me. almost 11 years ago, put down the bottle. And I have to say this, it was a hard thing to do. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And, one of the strange side effects of my sobriety was I seemed to lose all my friends like that, overnight. Now, I was a pretty popular guy back in St. John's, right, Flo? Yeah. Yeah. We used to party hard, in St. John's, party capital of Canada. And I had lots of friends, hundreds of friends, people that I could call on at any second and meet downtown. But you know what? The day I quit drinking, my phone stopped ringing. And I was alone trying to work through this, and trying to keep it real. And like 3 months in, I started to snap. I really did. And Andrea had given me an ultimatum, And, but 3 months in, I literally went out and I went to the liquor store and I bought a bottle of whiskey, single malt, Lagavulin, if you must know. It was my weapon of choice. And I remember bringing it home and laid it on the table in the kitchen. And I stared at that bottle for a long time. And I thought really hard about drinking it, because I knew it would take my pain away for that day. But I also knew what I stood to lose and the consequences I would pay for that. And as I stared at the bottle alone in my house, wondering what I would do, a friendly shape came into my peripheral vision. And the shape was this guitar. And this is Old Brown. It's the first guitar I ever bought. I bought him back in 1989 when I was 6. And he's been with me. I didn't even know how to play a single chord. I just knew I wanted to be in a band so bad that I bought this guitar so I would force myself to learn how to play. And I didn't know a single chord, and now I know all 3 of the chords, so we're good. We've been good ever since. And this guitar has literally held me up for many a party anthem in a hockey rink or bar across the country. And he's been with me every day. And that day, he was there. When there was no friend to be found, Old Brown was on the wall, hanging there. So I didn't pick up the bottle. I went over and I picked up this guitar instead, and I poured my heart into this guitar. And I wrote this song. Now, I've written hundreds of drinking songs, made a career out of it. But this day, and I didn't know what I would do next, but this day I wrote this song with Old Brown. And I knew I was going to be okay. I just knew. And the bottle remained unopened. So I want to share this song with you now, but I need your help. Got a little bit of a cold. It's not COVID, it's just a little cold. But I could use your help singing. You look like great singers. You look like great singers. And all you need to know for this song is one word. And the word is stronger. Yes. Right on cue. Just in case you forget it, it's written down. Okay? Okay? Okay. All right, champions. I'll just wink at you when it's your turn, okay? Because that's how Newfoundlanders get along. Been a long time now since you left me here alone, but I don't mind. I have grown and I feel alright. Something must be wrong. Gonna take my time, gonna sing my song, 'cause I am, yeah. It was one big lie. Now I can't believe my eyes, but I'm not the kind who lay down and die. You can fool me once, that's on me, but try it twice and you will see that I am better every day. I am, and I've got something to say. I'm deeper than the sea. I am than I ever used to be. When it all comes down, you'll be nowhere to be found, but I'll be standing here. I'll still be around, and I'll take this old guitar and I'll fill it with my heart. Thank you. And I'll show the world I'm ready to make a brand new start. 'Cause I'm better every day, I am. And I've got something to say, I'm deeper than the sea, I am, than I ever used to be. When it all, oh, forgot the words there. Bear with me. If it takes 1,000 years for the truth to break, that's it. I have overcome my fear. I'll set that record straight. And I'll be, then all your sticks and stones I'll be. And I know where I'm going, I'm brighter than the sun, I am. And I've only just begun, I'm better every day, I am. And I've got something to say, I'm deeper than the sea, I am, than I ever used to be. Thank you, and thank you, Old Brown. I'll come back in a few more minutes. We'll do it again.
I really cannot sing. I can't sing, so I won't be singing. But Sean, before you step away, I just want to say you're amazing. And next time you go on tour, I think we should all be invited. Because when we started saying Stronger, I was very worried. It didn't sound cute. But by the end, we sounded phenomenal. Like a real band. Also, someone over here was really singing with, who was that? Did everyone hear her? She was like screaming Stronger, and like that was how I felt inside. So thank you so much. Welcome everyone. Bonsoir, bienvenue. Thank you so much for joining us during Mental Illness Awareness Week for CAMIMH's Champions of Mental Health Awards Gala. I love a good applause moment. There will be a lot. My name is Chloe Wild, and I am truly so honored and so pleased to be your host this evening. I think we all have a very personal connection to mental health and mental illness. And for me, it runs in my family. As someone who works in media, some people, when they find out I struggle with really, really bad anxiety, they go, but it's not possible. You're on TV every night. You're on red carpets. You interview people. And that's the thing with mental health and mental illness. It shows up differently in everyone. It's not something you can always see, but it's something we all have a deep, honest connection with. And I like to talk about it very openly. I feel it takes away some of its power, and it's something I live with every day. And so I just want to say that seeing all of you and knowing some of the work you all do, I so appreciate you and respect you. I have had to lean on resources and work with professionals, and I also wouldn't change it. It's made me who I am, and I'm standing right here as a result. So thank you so much for being here today. And also, I know it's been said, but like when I walked into this room a couple hours ago, it was very nicely organized, it looked cute, and I was like, I wonder how the vibe's gonna be. Like, I wonder what the energy is gonna be at a mental health gala. Well, I walked in here tonight and I was absolutely blown away at the excitement, the joy, the passion, the camaraderie between everyone. And I really think that's because we haven't done this thing in person, celebrating our champions in 2 years. Like, how good does it feel to be able to sit next to the people you're sitting next to today? Like, I miss this. I miss human beings. Before we get to the awards, I do just want to say a couple of thank yous. You've met some of them now on this stage, but a big thank you to Flo, Kim, and Ellen, and to the entire CAMI leadership and membership for the work you do to make this evening possible and in supporting mental health in Canada. Of course, a special shout out to Impact Public Affairs and my girl Sophie. I don't know where you are, but Sophie, yes, thank you so much. And a special thank you to my family, Bell Let's Talk, the Mental Health Commission of Canada, Lundbeck, the Canadian Credit Union Association, and Innovative Medicines Canada for your generous partnership throughout the entire Champions of Mental Health Awards campaign. Your support makes this campaign possible, and I feel like we need to keep this campaign going. All right, should we get to some awards? Because, these are, I feel like I'm at the Oscars or something. All right, so our first award of the evening is the Sharon Johnston Champion of Mental Health for Youth. And to present this award, I would like to welcome to the stage Wally Shaw. I haven't seen Wally in so long.
Good evening, everybody. Let's try that one more time. Good evening, everybody. It is good to be here, and a huge thank you to Flo and the rest of the team for having me, for organizing. Can we just give them one round of applause, please? All you guys, Sophie, as Chloe said, they've been working very hard, so thank you. Can we just say thank you? Thank you. I want to introduce a very special person, but before I get to that today, I have a few words of poetry that I'd like to share to set the tone for what is about to happen for the remainder of the evening. May I start with a few words of poetry? All right. The poem that I want to share this evening has a lot to do with the conversations we're going to have for the rest of tonight, and I hope that it resonates with you just as it does with me and when I wrote this. Here we go. Mental illness is real. It's something no one believes. Depression is your excuse to be lazy. It's all in your head. It's ridiculous that people say, we need more resources. And people truly need support. Couldn't be further from the truth. Anxiety is not a disorder. The idea that our story matters is a lie we've all been told. You will never make a difference. I know these words can seem extreme and harsh to you, but if we read them in reverse, you'll see these words are true. You will never make a difference is a lie we've all been told. Our story matters. The idea that anxiety is not a disorder couldn't be further from the truth. People truly need support, and we need more resources. It's ridiculous that people say it's all in your head. Depression is your excuse to be lazy, is something no one believes. Mental illness is real. Thank you. Thank you. This style of poetry that I've written that I just shared with you is something called reverse poetry or palindrome poetry. And it is incredibly difficult to write something like that. But the beauty is being able to see both sides of the story. The first half of what I shared is the realistic struggle of many of the people that will be coming up today to get their awards. The challenges, the barriers, the trauma, that is exactly what it's like. The other half is the work that they are doing, the things that they are able to accomplish with support and by sharing their story. And the first story that I want you all to listen to and to hear is about a young man who is receiving the Sharon Johnston Champion of Mental Health for Youth Award. Now this person and this award is given to someone who's under the age of 21 years old and is making a contribution to mental illness awareness in their communities. The young man who is receiving this award today is a current student at Queen's University. He is a strong ally for mental illness awareness, and has been a key factor with doing lots of great stuff on campus, including mental health programming that supports newcomer youth, as well as creating programs that encourage youth to have conversations about their mental well-being. And this fall, he'll also be presenting at an international mental health conference in Copenhagen. Please turn your attention to the screen to listen and meet Urvis Musa.
I'm a fourth-year health sciences student, and I'm also doing a certificate in disability and physical activity for persons who identify with a disability. As a second-generation Canadian with both my parents born outside of Canada, I was exposed to very different cultural lessons, morals, and principles at home and in my educational setting. I did find myself struggling with my mental health at a young age. Experiencing bullying when you're a kid is difficult, especially when you feel like you can't understand why it's happening to you. That youth are a central piece of the large puzzle that is in fact progressing the field. As a youth with lived experience and experience in mental health support services, I do my best to understand factors that may be of great stress to one's mental health and try to work alongside my youth peers to design methods to alleviate stressors before they can become one. Now, we as youth decided to investigate the impact that the transition to online counseling from in-person counseling has had on youth clients. And this youth-led initiative uses a much different lens during data collection and survey creation than if curated by a current mental health researcher. I wish people knew that living and identifying with a mental illness takes on a different form for each person. I think it's simply just important that people understand that their generalized anxiety, for example, will impact them entirely different than their peer who may also be diagnosed with generalized anxiety. In terms of change, there is one key change I hope to see in regard to mental illness and mental health. From conversations I've had with youth across diverse cultures originating from different lands, there appears to be a common misperception. The misperception being that you need to have a mental illness diagnosis in order to think that you need to start caring of your mental health. And this is really not the case. Taking care of your mental health is not any different than taking care of your physical health. I believe that youth are vital to the discussion of mental health advocacy. Youth bring a different perspective to the table, and the value of lived expertise should not and cannot go undervalued. Since I began this work in mental health, I have noticed a positive improvement of those associated with the initiatives I'm involved in. It is the feeling of connectedness that I feel most contributes to feeling better from a community standpoint. I believe that by assessing and understanding the stressors within your community, adequate organizations run by youth or not are bound to make a positive difference in the mental health field. In the next 5 years, I hope to see an improved ability of Canadians able to access a specialist, whether it be a neurologist, psychiatrist, therapist, counselor, or any type of mental health support within a reasonable amount of time. To be a champion of mental health, it honestly came as a surprise for me. I was shocked to even be nominated in the first place. Before this, I have never even thought of the concept of being recognized in such a way. It does feel great to be considered a champion of mental health. This recognition has kind of acted as a reminder for me that the work that I am doing is positive and is truly having an impact on those involved.
Congratulations to the 2022 champions of mental health. Your contribution to increasing awareness around mental health for all Canadians is so important. And indeed, all our champions tonight have shown remarkable leadership in their communities. The impact of your work in advancing the mental health agenda, spreading awareness, and breaking the stigma is clear, and we know that Canada will be a better place for it. Urvis, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate you on receiving the Sharon Johnston Champion of Mental Health Award for Youth. Your work to create a mental health support program for students on and off campus is truly remarkable. And you did all this while studying hard yourself. You should be very proud. Thank you to all the champions and to the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health for your meaningful work. Congratulations again, 2022 champions.
Please welcome Urvis Musa to the stage, everyone. Let's keep it going till he gets here. Let's keep it going. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your evening. And now, a few words from Irvis.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a lovely evening so far. I am honored and truly grateful to be acknowledged as the recipient of this award. First, I want to start off by thanking the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health for hosting this gala and offering the opportunity for us to celebrate so many wonderful and impactful achievements within the mental health field. With that being said, I think the most important thing to recognize in a moment like this is the concept of privilege. I'm privileged to walk the lands which have provided me with the opportunities that have brought me here today. I'm privileged to have a strong social support system. I'm privileged to have parents who have worked tirelessly to ensure financials were not a significant barrier for me growing up. I'm privileged to live in a country like Canada where I, but not all persons, have access to quality of healthcare, food, and housing. I acknowledge, recognize, and identify with this privilege. It is this very privilege and positionality that has allowed me to reflect and apply my experiences to mental health-related programs and supports designed for youth. But how exactly do we encourage more youth to get involved and utilize their lived experience? How do we structure a system and framework which considers youth perspective beyond simple story sharing? How do we empower youth to get them involved in areas such as conducting research and improving intervention strategies? While these questions remain unclear, it remains clear, however, that youth are continually important in program design and delivery, and we must continue to include youth in discussions involving their care. I encourage you all to reflect on your positionality and think about how your experiences have changed your approach in the realm of intangible health. With the continued efforts of us all, we can and we will shape the future of youth services in a manner that truly does align with youth desires. Thank you again and have a lovely evening. It's nice to meet you all.
I know it's really cheesy, but when they say that youth are the future, like we're in very, very good hands. And Wally, every time I hear you speak, I am just covered in goosebumps. That was mind-blowing. So, so beautiful. All right, so let's keep the evening going. We are honored to have the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, the Honorable Carolyn Bennett, join us this evening. Please come on up. Sorry, you were about to have some delicious soup. It'll still be there.
Thank you, Chloe, and congratulations, Irvis, and thank you for the leadership of Ellen and Kim and Flo, and really, it's amazing. And of course, I too want to begin by acknowledging that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people, who've been stewards of this land and these waters since time immemorial. And I thank Elder Tobias for her very inspiring words about not only the 7 generations ahead, meaning that we just think where we would be if when the settlers arrived, they actually listened and were thinking 7 generations out. But also Elder Tobias's words about the medicine wheel and how we have to keep people well and in balance, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and that is actually what we're all here to do, those with mental illness and those struggling to preserve their mental health. And so I just want to say that it's an honor to be at the same table as Madam Justice Obamsawin, that for you to be able to take the Indigenous ways of knowing and being into the highest court in our land, I just think it makes us all feel amazingly privileged and honored. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous pendant la semaine de sensibilisation aux maladies mentales. Une semaine coordonnée par l'Alliance canadienne pour la maladie mentale et la santé mentale, dont le but de sensibiliser le public, de réduire la stigmatisation et d'aider à améliorer l'accès aux ressources en santé mentale. It is also a complete honor to realize why Sean McCann was invited here, in that I think our mental health is already better, and I think that in terms of Sean and Old Brown and that sticker on your guitar that says sing, share and survive, that to hear your music tonight, and also for the courage that you have demonstrated in telling your story. The link between abuse and anger and shame and alcohol, and how people use alcohol and drugs to numb out the pain, psychic pain, physical pain, that using substances is and the explanation of the importance of substances, as we heard during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that for people like you to speak out means that we are able to begin to reduce the stigma, so that others can speak out, and that we can begin that journey of actually helping one another on the path to recovery and stronger. Is that right? This morning I had the absolute honor and pleasure of meeting with the partners from the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health, and to discuss the work that we will need to do together. That the idea of a Canadian mental health transfer, transparency, accountability, and that with all of the help of the people in this room, that we can get this right. We can make sure that the resources really do go to improving the mental health of Canadians, and that we can actually make sure that those community-based programs that we'll hear about today are able to actually receive in the beautiful poem, the resources that they need to be able to make sure, wherever you live in Canada, that there are those resources, that if you do speak out, if you do disclose, if you do admit that you're struggling, that the resources are there for you to have the help, as we say, the most appropriate care in the most appropriate place by the most appropriate provider at the most appropriate time. It is, so tonight it's just an unbelievable honor to celebrate the achievements of those who have made such significant contributions to advancing mental health awareness and support across Canada, and the mental health literacy that helps people understand the difference between mental illness and mental health. In the same way as we've spent a lot of our time trying to decide that we need people to understand the difference between health and health care. We want more health so that less people need health care. And so how do we make sure that those words aren't used interchangeably when we actually want more health, and to raise the health literacy and the mental health literacy of all Canadians. So the presence of so many accomplished individuals in the audience tonight, and I can't mention you all, so many of you have taught me so much over the years, but I did run into Dr. Gail Beck, who I think at the very beginning of my time here really was able to center me on really the importance of children's mental health, so that people will get the best start in life, and that children actually end up with the kind of care that Dr. Beck is able to give. So the 7 winners, and Irvis, is so amazing, because Integrated Youth Services, I think, is leading in where we may begin with national standards. But to Carla and Steve and Say Out Loud and Wabish Gabo and Myra Pyatt, and of course my friend and colleague Mike Lake, I thank you all for what you've done, and huge congratulations. It is, as you do your work advancing mental health agenda in Canada, you are also providing support to so many people, not only in your own communities, but really across Canada, as we are all working to spread and scale the things that are working and to maybe stop doing some of the things that all of you in the room know don't work. But maybe make people feel better that they're doing something, but that's not good enough anymore. I think that with evidence-based, culturally safe, trauma-informed practice, we can do better. And I think that's why events like tonight are so important, as people are inspired by what you have all done. And I just want to say that Mike is an example of somebody really at the top of government and Parliament, that your work in the community-based autism community is exemplary, that you get to bring to Parliament your lived experience and your ability to understand where the gaps are and what needs to happen, and that is so important in terms of as we develop good public policy. Jane Jacobs used to say that good public policy comes when decision makers can see in their mind's eye the people affected. And I think that's really why this is so important, but also why COVID's been so hard, because we've not been out and about, and that we just can't learn on Zoom what's happening in community and be able to listen to those that actually have the lived and living experience, but the experts, the community-based organizations, and so, you know, as was said tonight, that there's no one in this room that doesn't understand that mental health is health, and that you can't have, it's like Brock Chisholm said in 1957 as the first Director General of the WHO, as a war vet physician, that there can be no health without mental health. And I think as we are now working to integrate it into a hugely important part of our publicly funded healthcare system, that we've got to do this work together. And so mental health has to be treated as full and equal part of our universal health system. And je suis sûre que nous reconnaissons tous qu'il existe encore des obstacles importants pour que toutes les personnes au Canada aient accès à des services de qualité en matière de santé mentale et de dépendance. We know that the pandemic really did shed greater light on the unmet needs of people who struggle with substance use issues and who are also marginalized and stigmatized. But it is, as we say, I think that the pandemic has made it a little bit easier for people to admit they're struggling. Because in some ways we were all struggling together, and people were able to say out loud that they were struggling, or that their families were struggling, or maybe they were worried about substance use in a way that maybe they'd not spoken to others about before. And so we do hope that openness will be like you know, the work of Sean McCann, that when people speak out, then the stigma goes down a little bit. And I think that's really why events like today are so important. It is, it has been so important when COVID allowed, over this first year of being the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, to be able to be out and about across this country, being in community organizations, knowing that people with lived and living experience are the only way we're going to get it right, and the partners like you all across Canada to address the real solutions that will really make a difference in people's lives, and that the growing evidence of models of care that work and those that don't, and that when we look at integrated youth services, when we look at that are led by youth, that this is hugely important as we if we're going to design these all-inclusive wraparound supports from the bottom up, to be able to help community members, families, and youth to be able to find the best possible support from the best possible providers at the best possible time. So, les lauréats, les champions de ce soir représentent des promesses et des pratiques sages qui changent des vies. I said this morning to the CAMI executive that that even the categories of the awards tonight, for youth, media, parliamentarian, workplace mental health, community organizations, innovation, it epitomizes the fact that everybody has a role, and in whatever organizations we're part of, that we can be champions of mental health where we work and play or pray, that this is about how we extend the understanding of what our mental health providers, because now peer support is so important. That knowledge keepers and elders are so important, that we've got to expand who we think are providers, and I think what we've learned, that it's not only people with letters after their name. And so we actually have to so as we in Mental Illness Awareness Week, we are asking all Canadians to be part of this vital work. L'événement de ce soir est l'occasion pour nous de nous réunir, de souligner les réalisations de ceux qui ont mis au point des approches novatrices et courageuses et qui ont fait une différence dans la vie de personnes atteintes de maladies mentales. Tonight we draw inspiration from one another. We renew our shared commitment to seek ways to better support our communities who are facing challenges, and we're facing challenges before COVID. We're underserved before COVID, and now it means that those who are economically and socially disadvantaged, to LGBTQIA plus community, the racialized group, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, and those that have recently arrived in Canada. It is, I think, that COVID has also presented opportunities. I mean, the challenges were there, but the opportunities. And I think as we spoke this morning, that finally we have data coming from the provinces and territories on immunization, on hospitalization, on ICU, on deaths, and that we don't have that, and we are going to need that in any mental health transfer or anything that we are going to do. We need the data back to know that the transfer and the payments will be actually making a difference in the lives of Canadians. And so, alors que nous tournons vers l'avenir et vers la sortie de la pandémie, il est de notre devoir de continuer à lutter contre cette stigmatisation, but also how do we fight the stigma, but how do we know when it's going down? What is the indicator? What's the measurement? And because it's something we all aspire to, but I think evenings like this mean that the smart people in this room are going to help us do this. So as you've said, tonight is about reconnecting, rebuilding, and restoring our systems of care and relationships across the country. I'm so grateful to be here, and congratulations to all of the award winners and for their positive contributions, but to everyone in this room. You are making our communities and the lives of Canadians so much better. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Minister Bennett, you mentioned that tonight we will be drawing inspiration from one another, and I think we are collectively drawing inspiration from you. So thank you so much for taking the stage and sharing all of that. Let's keep the evening moving and talk about innovation. Innovative Medicines Canada is one of the generous partners supporting the Champions of Mental Health Awards campaign, and at this time, I'd like to invite Pamela Fralick from IMC to present the Innovation Award.
I didn't have the run of show. Bonsoir à tous. Je suis vraiment ravie d'être ici avec tout le monde. It's a bit of a difficult act to follow with singing and poetry and media. I used to be a singer-dancer in a previous life. I will not inflict that on you, but good evening, everyone. My name is Pamela Fralick. I'm the president at Innovative Medicines Canada, IMC. I'm very proud to be here and support a cause that I'm very passionate about personally and professionally, and I'm going to digress from my script because While I don't know everyone in here, a few people know me, but this is my career. I started working as what was called an alcoholism treatment specialist for the Canadian Forces in Europe. I couldn't get training in Canada. They sent us down to the 32nd Street Naval Station in San Diego to get training. And this is a bit of a theme of my comments, because maybe I'll go to the very end of my comments, because I do want to introduce you to a fabulous recipient. I hope that a couple of generations from us, sooner than later, will look back and shake their heads and say, what were we doing? What were we thinking? Where were the resources? Where was the prioritization? Where was the realization that this is really where we should be spending our time, our money, our effort on mental health and addictions? Because my career has embraced both of those. That's where my mind sits. So it's such a wonderful feeling to be in this room. I wish it was 10 times as large and filmed with everyone, champions of these particular issues, just as you are here today. I'm proud to be a former chair of CAMIMH. Many of you know CAMIMH. Mary Deacon is here. She and I have a bit of history there. So while I am with an industry that is dedicated, many of our members at the association dedicated to finding some of the solutions, the treatments, the preventions for the mental illness that we're dealing with to lead to mental health. My history drives me, even as I represent all of these members from this particular industry. We're known perhaps more for vaccines at the moment because of the pandemic, but allow me to reassure you that our members, many of them, are working just as hard in finding those miraculous solutions for the issues that all of us in this room and beyond are dealing with. So on behalf of all of my members, may I say that it is truly an honor to present the Innovation Award this evening. Au nom de tous nos membres, j'ai l'honneur de présenter le prix d'innovation ce soir. So, let me tell you a little bit about our recipient. This Innovation Award is given to an innovative researcher or an organization that through their work has advanced the mental health agenda in Canada. It's my pleasure to announce that the 2022 winner of the Innovation Award is Dr. Myra Piat. Now, she's going to join me in just a second. Dr. Piat is a researcher at the Douglas Hospital Research Center and assistant professor at McGill University. She is a leader in mental health recovery and implementation science who's worked tirelessly to bring system transformation to mental health services. Myra has been involved in numerous initiatives to help integrate mental health recovery into policy and services, and has been the lead on many projects through the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, CIHR, and of course McGill University. Please have a look at what Dr. Piat, at what Myra has to say.
So I'm a researcher at McGill University and the Douglas Mental Health University Institute. One of the things in doing research is the need to kind of think outside of the box. And so I see my role as conducting research that's going to make a difference. Mental health is something that has an impact on everyone. I've been working in the area of mental health recovery, which is really about giving people the opportunity to lead as normal lives as they can. And so all of the work that I do is about promoting mental health. Je suis certaine que tout le monde connaît quelqu'un, que ça soit un membre de votre famille, un ami, un collègue. Santé mentale, bonne santé mentale, ça nous affecte tout le monde. Et je pense aussi qu'il faut voir la question de santé mentale dans une perspective de justice sociale aussi. Tout le monde a le droit d'avoir une bonne santé mentale. I've been involved in several different initiatives in mental health over the last several years. One of the big areas that I have worked on is mental health recovery. Probably the biggest challenge we have is, well, how do we actually provide services that are recovery oriented? making sure best practices are implemented, specifically guidelines, that's a really important area that I have focused on over the last several years. I wish that people would realize that someone who lives with a mental illness is a person. We need to start listening to people who have a mental health problem. We need to listen more. These are experts by experience, and make sure that organizations and services take this into account. Being named as a champion of mental health is it's very humbling, because I truly believe the champions are all of the people who actually live day to day with a mental health diagnosis, their families, their loved ones. These are all the people who actually are the champions, and I've been really quite privileged to learn from them.
Dr. Myra, please join me in welcoming her to the stage, a fabulous champion.
Whoa. Oh, wow. What a special evening this is. I want to thank the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health for this award. What a privilege it is. I am truly honored to have been chosen as a champion of mental health. Please know that it means a great deal to me. Quelle soirée spéciale! Je tiens à remercier l'Alliance canadienne pour la maladie mentale et de la santé mentale pour ce prix. Il faut savoir que c'est très important pour moi. Quel privilège c'est! Je suis vraiment honorée d'avoir été choisie pour ce prix. Cela signifie beaucoup pour moi. But in accepting this award, I would like to acknowledge the many people who I have collaborated with over the years. The people who believed in the work we were doing together. The people with lived experience, their families, my research team, and students. I would also like to sincerely thank Madame Sonia Côté, Executive Director of Le Chaneau in Montreal, and Dr. Chris Somerville. I don't see you, Chris. Where are you? Executive Director of the Schizophrenia Society of Canada. You both have been mentors for me. Never did you let me down. En acceptant ce prix, j'aimerais rendre hommage aux nombreuses personnes avec lesquelles j'ai collaboré au fil des années. Les personnes qui ont cru au travail que nous faisons ensemble. Les personnes ayant une expérience vécue, leurs familles, mon équipe de recherche et mes étudiants. J'aimerais aussi remercier sincèrement Mme Sonia Côté, directrice générale du Chaneau à Montréal, et Dr. Chris Somerville, directeur général de la Société canadienne de la schizophrénie. Vous avez tous deux été un mentor pour moi. Vous ne m'avez jamais laissé tomber. In closing, I would like to highlight that this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. I would ask each person this evening to think about, what can you do? What can we do collectively to ensure that people with a mental health challenge receive timely access to the best evidence-based care possible, the care that they deserve? It is their right. There is no health without mental health. Cette semaine, c'est la semaine de sensibilisation de la santé mentale. Je voudrais demander à chaque personne ici ce soir, que pouvez-vous faire? Que pouvons-nous faire collectivement pour assurer que les personnes ayant des problèmes de santé mentale reçoivent un accès rapide aux meilleurs soins possibles? Les soins qu'ils méritent. C'est leur droit. Il n'y en a pas de santé mentale. Il n'y a pas de santé sans de santé mentale. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Bonne soirée.
I feel like that might be my next tattoo. There is no health without mental health. Also, I've never been more proud to be a McGill grad than right now, like standing next to you. Okay, I am about to welcome a very, very special individual to the stage. The Honorable Michelle Obonsawin was appointed to the Supreme Court just last month with a distinguished legal career spanning the last 2 decades. Her work as General Counsel for the Royal Ottawa Healthcare Group gave her a thorough understanding of legal issues related to mental health and has taught Indigenous law at U Ottawa's Common Law program. Please welcome her to the stage to say a few words.
Kwai ni dobak na delewizim selis obansawin ni atolba wadio danak al napad noa. I always start off by introducing myself since I've learned my language in Abenaki, and I just want to recognize that we're on unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, who are the cousins of the Abenaki, and I'm one of those. Je veux commencer par vous remercier pour l'invitation ce soir. Je me sens très choyée d'être parmi vous. As you've heard, I've been sitting on the bench been named a mere month, sitting for the last 2 weeks. And I have to say, even myself, at times, I find it to be quite overwhelming. I want to speak to you quickly about how I've been fortunate in 2009 when I joined the Royal Ottawa Healthcare Group. So I have to say, it's been great for me to be here tonight to connect with friends and colleagues from the Royal. And it's at that time where I really got immersed into issues related to mental health and how it touches all of us. And I do have quite a few family members that have issues related to depression and anxiety, and it's really difficult at times to have access to those services. And having worked at the Royal gave me a new appreciation of all those that work in mental health, and that led me to do a lot of research with regards to Indigenous people and mental health and the forensic mental health system. Puis je trouve que c'est quelque chose de vraiment important de parler au sujet de les personnes autochtones qui ont été touchées par les pensionnats, comme vous le savez, parce qu'à la fin de la journée, ça a touché tout le monde qui ont assisté à ces écoles, puis aussi les membres de leur famille, puis ça a causé des traumatismes intergénérationnels. Donc, je veux remercier tous ceux qui sont ici ce soir, qui travaillent avec les personnes autochtones, parce qu'à la fin de la journée, souvent, ces gens sont dans des endroits très lointains. They're very remote areas. They're difficult. I know that for them to access mental health services has not always been easy. So I want to thank all of you for reaching out and doing that important work with a very vulnerable population. And another thing that I wanted to thank you is for just being here tonight, because this means that everyone is contributing in a valuable way. One of the things I'm going to ask when you leave here today is to have a conversation, to reach out. We know during the pandemic it's been very isolating to everyone. And at times we always think, well, we have to seek out mental health services, but it starts with every one of us who are here today. And I'm going to ask you to just reach out to someone who you know that's going through a difficult time, because at the end of the day, sometimes it's just that little reach out that person needs to say, oh, you know what? He thought about me or she thought about me. And these make differences in people's lives, and it makes difference to their mental health. So I'm going to ask everyone to just think about, because I'm sure you know that one person that you should be reaching out to. So I just want to congratulate the winners for all of their hard work throughout Canada. It's value added, and everyone here is making a difference. So thank you. Uriuni, merci beaucoup.
Okay, so hands up. Who knows who they're going to reach out to after this? We've got to keep each other accountable, because I think that's really, really powerful. Such a simple act, and you never know how it's going to land when you contact that person. All right, so we've still got some awards up here. So I would like to welcome Fakir Asa here from Lundbeck, who's going to present the next award. Oh, there you are. Oh my gosh. Okay, hello. Hi.
Hello.
I'm Chloe. I'm awkward. Hi.
Hello everybody. Bonsoir ce soir. Bonsoir à tout le monde. Je suis très content d'être ici ce soir. Thank you for inviting us this evening. This is a very important event, and really it's a true recognition of all the effort that the CAMIMH and their members are doing to help all the communities across Canada. I work for Lundbeck, which is a company that is owned by a foundation, which mission is, and purpose is to be tirelessly dedicated so that every Canadian patient be their best when it comes to brain health and mental health. And we've been sharing at least this purpose with CAMIMH for several years, and that's really why we are supporting this cause, and we believe we will continue as well to support this cause for many years to come. But of course, as we do and lead this purpose, I think it's important that we also recognize those members who have been tirelessly also dedicating their time and efforts and personal time to help this cause. And this year, I am pleased actually to introduce the winner of the Workplace Mental Health Program Award. And the winner, guess what? He's actually from Newfoundland. So the winner of the 2022 Workplace Mental Health Award is Steve Tizard from Newfoundland. Steve has devoted and advocated for strong mental health at his workplace, and then actually spent a lot of time and efforts in helping and training offshore and onshore employees and fellows of his colleagues in Newfoundland. And now, in the last few years, actually, he spent quite a bit of time inspiring others to carry the same mission and purpose that he has been doing. So please join me actually now at watching a short video about some of the work that Steve has been carrying on.
My role in the mental health community is really an advocate in the workplace and helping other workplaces, be a mental health first aid instructor, a confidential person that they can come speak to, and for me to be able to bridge the gap to get them to the professional resources that many people require. Mental health for many years in our workplace was non-existent. We didn't speak about it. It wasn't something that was brought up in our occupational health and safety meetings. Unfortunately, we had a tragedy in 2009 that affected our workplace.
I've worked offshore for the past 25 years in the oil and gas industry. There was a helicopter accident, a crash that happened in 2009 off the coast of Newfoundland and Labrador, which affected me so profoundly.
And we found out after this tragedy that so many people were suffering, but we knew we had to do something. We came together and started a mental health and wellness program, being able to help people, being able to give people an avenue to come forward, to start conversations, to talk about some of their issues with themselves or even their family members, and be able to have a listing of resources to be able to get that person to the most appropriate professional help. Living 25 years on an installation in the middle of North Atlantic, I can tell you that 25 years ago, mental health wasn't spoken about there, as I've already said. In our communities as well, I feel that we've come so far. We still have a great ways to go, but we've come so far. When we start implementing workplace programs to different workplaces, I think there's a hesitancy is first. They may be hesitant to talk about mental health or to share. When I do a presentation, perhaps the first presentation, people are very quiet and they're guarded. But if you can unlock that, if you can share your own personal lived experience with people in a room, you unlock that and people start sharing themselves. And it's a very wonderful thing when you see so many people starting to share about their lived experiences, their strategies, their tools. Because if you're a good advocate or you're a good instructor, once you do that, the room teaches itself. Sometimes change takes a long time to happen. When I look at many workplaces right now, some are kicking the tires at mental health programs or are considering to bring it in as part of their workplace. And all I can say is I just encourage every workplace, no matter if they have 5 employees or 5,000 employees, to start implementing psychological safety and mental health in their workplace. Please, those companies that are out there that are just trying to decide if you're going to go ahead with the program, do it. It's a return on investment financially, but the investment that you get back with your workers is going to be something fantastic. Chosen as a champion of mental health and have my peers put in recommendations for me for this award, it's just so overwhelming. The word overwhelming just continues to come to mind, to know that the work that we have done, the work that we continue to do is being recognized by our peers. And that's just something so special.
So now please join me again in congratulating Steve Dizzard, who's going to join us. Steve, you are the winner of the Workplace Mental Health Program 2022.
Thank you very much. It's quite a pleasure to be here. Someone said you have a minute or two. I'm from Newfoundland. I won't even get through the introduction by then. I love to talk, but I'm not going to take a whole lot of your time tonight. This is just so overwhelming. Thank you for the Alliance. It's amazing just to be recognized by your peers, as I said. Working 25 years on an oil and gas facility in the middle of the North Atlantic. People say, well, how do you teach mental health? Well, if you spend 25 years on an oil platform in the middle of the North Atlantic, you need it. But it's so true. We just need to keep on reaching out to people. We need to start conversations. I'm going to tell you a very, very quick story. And it's a lived experience story. And the person who shared this said, Steve, please, I'd be honored if you shared it. But, we went from 25 years ago to nobody speaking about mental health. And a few years back, I had a coworker come into my office, into my ready room. And he said, Steve, my daughter is not going to survive the week. She's taking some very, very serious drugs. She's in a very bad place. Is there anything you can do? Somebody told me you may be able to do something. So within 48 hours, we got her into a counselor who actually had the lived experience that she needed. Within 3 days, we had her into a family doctor to be able to get her prescribed on a program. And within, I think, 8 days, we had her safe housing and a new start. And she even had a 3-legged dog who she said, I'm not going into therapy and help unless my 3-legged dog can come with me. And we were actually able to find that for her. Today, she lives in another province. She just started a family. She has a wonderful little boy. And she told me that she's going to be an advocate and a counselor to go out and actually help people because somebody was there for her when she needed it. So, I mean, that's just, you know, the full circle thing. It's so full circle to do it. Just a couple of things. The other workplace champions in the room, thank you so much for all that you do. Please keep on going. Let's keep on pushing. I think we are just starting. We're just beginning now. There's so much more work to be done, and we need to start more advocates in our workplaces and our organizations so they can take the lead and move on with what we've started. I'm going to accept this award, but I'm really dedicating it to every single worker that had the courage and just to come forward and ask for help. Because by asking for help, they were able to get into where they needed. And they're continuing their journey of recovery, which is such an amazing thing. And finally, and I'll try not to get it. I got to get it. My family, my beautiful wife, thank you.
Steve, thank you so much for sharing that story about that girl. I think the ripple effects of work in the mental health sector are infinite. When one person is seen, when one person gets help, when one person's able to step into the best versions of themselves, you never know how far that's going to go. And also, Steve, your vulnerability, I think, is the most beautiful thing in the world. I have what's called leaky eye syndrome, and I think it's great. I think it's great. The Mental Health Commission of Canada is another generous supporter of the Champions campaign. And so I'd like to invite Wendy Hepburn from MHCC, who's ready to go to present our next award of the season. I'm going to get off the stage. Okay. I feel like I just got played. All right, Wendy.
I'm going to pull this down here. Okay. Good evening. I'm Wendy Hepburn from the Mental Health Commission of Canada. And I'd like to say that the Commission is an avid supporter and friend of CAMIMH, and I am thrilled to see so many familiar faces and to celebrate those who have worked tirelessly to reduce stigma and to advocate for mental health and substance use health. Tonight, I am honored to present the Community Organization Award. This award is given to an organization that has provided a great public service to community members experiencing mental illness. The 2022 winner of the Community Organization Award, Say Out Loud, has done just that. Say Out Loud is an LGBTQ+ youth group that offers peer support in Belleville and surrounding areas. Eric Hargreaves is one of those who has worked tirelessly to inspire hope and to change lives. He established the group nearly 30 years ago, and since then the organization has supported thousands of LGBTQ+ youth navigating their journey of self-discovery. I'd like to invite you to listen to what they have to say.
I'm the facilitator at Say Out Loud, Support Alternative Youth. So as lead facilitator at Say Out Loud, the primary focus is to provide young people in the LGBTQ community a place where they can discover who they are, a place where everyone is accepted as they enter the place. There's no judgment. "25, 30 years ago, we're looking for a place where their kids could come out safely. And so we met with some parents and some caregivers and some young people, and the minister who was here at the time, Diane Fisher, and myself, we knew that we had some expertise and we had the time, and so that's how we entered into the community with Say Out Loud. When I was growing up, and I identify myself as a cis gay man, coming out many years ago, there weren't a lot of supports, so I had internalized homophobia, and also society wasn't very welcoming to me. and I had no place to turn really. And so when one has sort of an addictive personality, that often leads into poor choices in terms of coping. And so I was an alcoholic for a long time. And as I look back, I really see that was fed by my personal disease. If we could reach some of the parents in a more positive way, I still have lots of kids that come to the group. So between age 10 and early 20s, who come to the group and are honored with their chosen name, their pronouns, their orientation, and then they go home and they're misgendered, and all the gains that we've sort of seen in them, in their behaviors, are not only lost, but crushed. And so if I could find ways that people could just be people and just be open and challenge their preconceived ideas, I guess. The biggest barrier, and it's no surprise to anybody, is accessibility. How do people get one-on-one counseling? There are some crisis counseling. That doesn't work for everybody. So I would like to hope that Canada lives into being a more open and accepting culture. Self-harm and suicides are still really high in our community, addictions. And so if we could minimize that somehow, and I think acceptance is a powerful first step. So if I'm a champion, I guess that means a recognition of having been able to, with other volunteers and other agencies, create something that's life-affirming.
So I'm afraid that Eric unfortunately couldn't join us today, but I'd like you to join me in watching his video message.
Hi, I'm Eric Hargreaves, and I would like to thank you for this awesome award. I can't tell you how much it has inspired and rejuvenated the young people in this community, and they have something that they would like to say to you.
I think they said it best. Thank you, say out loud. Thank you for your role as a champion and for your impact on so many.
Sorry about that. Did it wake you up? How are you doing? Are you doing okay? Everyone's having a good meal, chilling. It's going good. Don't worry, you're doing okay. You're doing great. You're doing good. You got about 6 hours left to go. You'll be fine. Now, I believe that music is medicine because I believe there's certain songs that saved my life. And you know what? We got to acknowledge we've all been through quite a bit. You guys remember that thing called the pandemic? That sucked, didn't it? Yeah. I was doing okay. I was doing all right. I was like doing a lot of virtual stuff, singing for people into my computer screen. And that was okay for a while. Myself and my wife, Andre, did a bunch of things. But you know, you remember back last Christmas, just before Christmas, when we thought we'd actually have a Christmas? And then it all went away again. Well, that brought me down. I gotta say, that knocked me off my little horse. And I was depressed about that. I got down and I was blue all through January. And my wife, Andrea, came to me and she said, Sean, you got to snap out of it, man. You got to snap out of it. You know what you should do, she said, Sean? You should break out that sea shanty file you've been sitting on for the last 10 years and start singing again, out loud, not just for the computer, but out loud in the house, as loud as you can sing. You'll feel better, I know it. And And you know what? I broke out the sea shanty file. And I set up my microphone just like this right now in my living room in the dead of winter. And every morning I'd get up, and after I drank my second pot of coffee, about 7:30 in the morning, I'd let loose on some sea shanties. And you know what? I immediately felt better. Just the act of singing made me feel a lot better and snapped me out of my depression. Unfortunately, I have 2 children, 2 teenage boys. And they were off school because of the pandemic, and they didn't enjoy those shanties at 7:30 in the morning very much. They didn't realize that sea shanties are special songs. They were invented in the 1800s by sailors to help them do hard work by working together in harmony. And I thought they were the proper songs to get me through the rest of the pandemic. Anyway, I wasn't alone in this belief. One morning, my son comes down, he's 16, and he shows me his cell phone. He says, Dad, you're gonna be famous. He doesn't know. He showed me his phone, and there's an app on the phone called TikTok. Maybe some of you kids out there know what that is. And all the kids all over the world, for some strange reason, were singing these sea shanties together on TikTok. So I felt encouraged. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make a record. I'm gonna call it Shanty Man. And I'm gonna make millions of dollars. Anyway, the internet sensation only lasted about an hour. But I kept proceeding, made my record, and it's on my website now, SeanMcCannSings.com, if you want to listen. Now, as you can tell, I can't afford a band anymore, but I'm looking out, and I'm seeing some real good singers. And I remember our first song, you guys were right there. I'm thinking that maybe if we practice, we could form a band, right? Make a record and make dozens of dollars. All right, let's do it. We'll start it. We'll do a shanty record. This is the one that got me. This is the one that got me out of my own funk. I'm going to give you your chorus, okay? Pay attention. Here's what you need to know. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old and we'll all hang on behind. You're going to be great. We'll be all right. We'll make it through the storm. We'll be all right. We'll make it through the storm. We'll be all right. We'll make it through the storm and we'll all hang on behind. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old chariot along and we'll all hang on behind. Stay with me now. A little good news would go a long way. A little good news would go a long way. A little good news would go a long way. We'll all hang on behind. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. And we'll all hang on behind. I'm just thinking, how am I going to find a tour bus big enough for all of us? We'll be all right. The wind is in our sails. We'll be all right. The wind is in our sails. We'll be all right. The wind is in our sails and we'll all hang on behind. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. And we'll all hang on behind. We'll be all right. We'll make it through the storm. We'll be all right. We'll make it through the storm. We'll be all right. We'll make it through the storm. We'll all hang on behind. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. And we'll all hang on behind. One more for the big finish. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. We'll roll the old. And we'll all hang on behind. We'll be all right. Thank you very much. I'll be back again.
Sean, I can't wait for our tour. It's going to be so great. All right, so I know this is super embarrassing, but I'm going to ask a few people to stand up because I didn't have a chance to say hello and thank you to them for being here. We've got some amazing MPs in the house. Marilyn Gladue. We've got Majid Johari, Elizabeth May, and Gord Johns. And actually, Mr. Gord Johns, you can stay upright if you'd like, because I'm going to have you come up on stage. Mr. Gord Johns is the mental health critic for the NDP, and he's going to share a few words with us. I feel like you have a very dramatic walk, you know? It's a long walk, catwalk.
Wow, what a great night. Again, I'd also like to acknowledge that we're on the unceded lands of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. I'm Gord Johns. I'm the Member of Parliament for Courtenay Alberni on Vancouver Island, and I live on the unceded lands of Hupacheset and Sichat and the homelands of the Nuu-chah-nulth people. And I'm here to bring greetings on behalf of Jagmeet Singh and my fellow NDP colleagues. And it's really humbling to be here tonight. I want to thank the Minister for her words, and for Mike for his important work, and my fellow colleagues, and of course my good friend Elizabeth May. We know that, you know, there's many mental health champions here tonight. You're all truly champions, and again, I'm very deeply honored to be with you. We're honored for the work that you're doing to break down the stigma that, you know, really, you know, build a Canada that truly recognizes that mental health is health. And I really appreciate Dr. Who talked about no health without mental health. And it couldn't be truer. But we've got a long way to go. And we know here tonight and this week on Mental Illness Awareness Week, the volume of this conversation has been way turned up. Certainly with COVID-19, with the crisis that we're facing. Over the last 2.5 years, the mental health of Canadians has been negatively impacted by the loss, social isolation, and financial strain that the pandemic has brought. And as the cost of living rapidly rises and the threat of recession looms, the stress Canadians are facing are not abated. And we saw the stats released yesterday by the Mental Health Commission, highlighting that 35% of Canadians are dealing with mental health challenges right now, and only 1/3 of them can get access to help, whether it be access to support, barriers of finance, or that they're not available. This is certainly an alarming situation. I think many in this room can agree that Canada is facing a mental health and substance use crisis. We're in a health crisis, truly. And that's why today, you know, I didn't try to get out of today's meeting by the event tonight by calling for an emergency debate in the House of Commons on this very topic. But we did try to force an emergency debate because we believe it needs to take place. We are in a mental health emergency in this country. So this request wasn't granted, but I assure you we will continue to push for awareness and action. We put forward Bill C-216, which was defeated in the House of Commons, to bring a health-based response to substance use. But we're going to continue to work with the government. We're going to continue to bring forward solutions. And we know there's many great organizations working hard to support Canadians with mental health issues. We know the demand cannot be met under the current system. It's not working. And those reaching out for help often face long wait lists or out-of-pocket costs that are out of reach. We see that in our hospitals, in the emergency rooms of our communities. I live in a small community. You just need to walk in there at any given time, and it's packed with mental health demands. We need a systemic change. We need system change, really, that will bring mental health care fully into a universal public health care system. And we need sustainable funding to ensure all Canadians have access to the services they need when they need them. And I'm here not to, my job is opposition, to put pressure on the government, but I'm extending a hand to work with all my colleagues. We want to work together. We need to work together. And, you know, earlier, I guess last month, we tabled M67, calling on the government to develop legislation to enshrine in law parity between mental and physical health, and to urgently fulfill its promise to establish the Canada Mental Health Transfer. So right now, we all know someone who's struggling with their mental health, and we know mental health can't wait. And I've seen it too close. Every one of us has been touched by the impact and knows someone that's struggling. And in my community, you know, when I have to race home because there's a suicide crisis in a small, rural, Indigenous community, I know too well the impact that has on our communities and the lack of resources. So I hope I can count on my colleagues and you to get behind our motion, to show the government it's time to move forward from awareness to action. And again, I want to thank all of you for your work and congratulate all the winners, especially my colleague, Mike Lake. And I wish you all a very good evening and look forward to working with you all. We're going to need to work together.
So I've been in media now almost 10 years at Bell Media, and I remember when I started, I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna get to interview musicians and actors and designers. And throughout my many years and my many, many interviews, there's a few really key standout interviews that made an impact in my life and I've held on to. And one of those was Clara Hughes. And back in 2014, she did, I believe it was a 110-day bike ride across Canada to raise awareness for mental health, to raise money for Bell Let's Talk. And I sat in front of this incredible woman. And it was such a long time ago, and I remember her passion. I remember her excitement. I remember her frustration around the stigma surrounding mental health. And I remember feeling so enamored and so lucky that in my job I have these moments where, yes, I get to interview celebrities, but more importantly, I get to interview these incredible human beings that are so passionate and are out there being themselves, and by doing so are making an impact. And I feel so proud every year when Bell Let's Talk comes around because, yes, I do fun stuff, but I also do really important things being at this company. And it is my absolute honor to welcome Mary Deacon from Bell Let's Talk to present the next award.
Thank you very much, Chloe. Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everyone. Before I start with the presentation of the award, I'd like to say a few words. I've been really inspired by the presentations today, and I just want to make a few shout-outs. Wally, wow. That the most amazing palindrome I've ever heard, so wow. Sean, thank you for all you've done for mental health, for Bell Let's Talk, but for mental health writ large. Your work with Guitars for Vets and all the work that you do is amazing. And if I can paraphrase or steal your word. We truly are stronger when we work together. And the passion and energy I'm feeling in this room tonight gives me great hope about what we can accomplish when we work together. Minister, I really felt your authentic engagement. It was very meaningful to hear you speak. Your comments about IYS, about measurement and data, about accountability, about peer support, about fully integrating mental health and fully funding mental health as part of our universal health system were absolute music to my ears. I am very excited about what we can do working together, all of us, all parties, all parts of the country, to bring all of those things and much more to life so that we can, the vision that I have of a Canada where everyone can get the mental health support they need in order to thrive becomes a reality. And finally, before I start, I just want to give a shout out to Chloe. Chloe, you shared a personal story, and I want to recognize that you did that. It takes, maybe the day will come when it doesn't take courage to talk about mental illness, a very common treatable illness, but I really respect you for sharing that, and I honor you for that. Stories of lived experience are the absolute best way to eradicate stigma, challenging perceptions of what people with mental health issues are like and what they can do. I am very proud to call you a colleague. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly delighted to be here tonight on behalf of Bell Let's Talk to present the Community Individual Award. This award is presented to a person who has increased awareness about mental illness or reduced stigma in their community. This award is very important because when it comes to mental health, we all have a role to play in creating lasting positive change. And now more than ever, we all must do more because there is so much more that still needs to be done. The recipient of this year's Community Award is truly leading by example. It is my great honor to present the 2022 Community Individual Champion of Mental Health Award to Wab Shkigabo. Wab Shkigabo is an Anishinaabe from the Wajusqaniga Nation, and he is a member of the Lynx clan. He has been advocating for mental health in his community since he was 12 years old. He has been elected to multiple youth leadership positions and has advocated at international, national, provincial, and local tables on multiple portfolios, including mental health policy and Indigenous relations. Wab Shkigabo has been actively healing from depression and PTSD and has told his story across Canada to inspire others, to give hope, to remind people that they are not alone and that recovery is possible. Have a listen to what he shared with us.
Hello, my name is Standing White Bear. I come from the Lynx clan, and I'm from Wajusqaniga Nation, and my English name is Will Landon. Telling my story across Canada, and particularly within Treaty 3 on my journey through addiction, post-traumatic stress, and anxiety, depression. And through that lived experience, I also provide guidance to different institutions or organizations that need that lived experience, because I started public speaking when I was 12 years old, and my priority at that time was focusing on bridging the relationship gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. I would say when I got elected to the Treaty 3 Youth Council, the Ontario First Nations Youth Council, and the AFN Youth Council, about 2016 is when I really started to push mental health and really coming out with my own story and my own journey. Sort of a calling for me to want to help others and make the world just a little bit better with more supports and more programs that provide prevention, especially for young Indigenous people. I've always been a person who wanted to help. So the most recent initiative I've been involved with was with Thunderbird Partnership Foundation. What it really was about was rebuilding connections within communities. So we focused on 4 connections: connections to self, connections to land, connections to community, and connections to spirit. Because as we found that when we're promoting life, we noticed that those were 4 key kind of concepts in how an individual would want to choose life. Like for me with post-traumatic stress, it's always associated with veterans or for people who survive horrible incidences. But for me, it was kind of like 1,000 cuts of trauma over time and different incidences that left me with, pervasive memories, nightmares, things like that. On the outside, maybe a lot of us who are living with mental illness are functioning and well adjusted, but maybe deep down we're struggling, behind closed doors. It's not always going to look the same, but neither is the healing. It's always going to be a mix and match of trying to find what's going to help somebody get through what it is that they're going through. I would like to really see a recognition of the spiritual ways of our people, and I can only speak to First Nations people, as a core component to healing, so that they get more resources so that other individuals can access the culture and the spirituality, that the culture as core to healing becomes more understood as foundational and important, and that it gets the resources and the support that it needs. So to me, a champion of mental health has 4 key components: conviction, endurance, compassion, and kindness. So I try to put all that into the work that I do to be a champion, and to recognize too that we as champions, we don't walk alone. We've had teachers, we've had supports in our dark times. We've worked with so many others. Like I'm so privileged to have worked with and walked among who I would call giants, amazing and great people that do the work as well. So just those types of things to recognize, and I think that's what makes a great champion of mental health.
Please join me in welcoming Wab Shigabo to the stage. Thank you for all you do. Miigwech.
How buju wab shigabo indigo bjun dotem wajishkinigim and dunjiba. Chimigwech to CAMIMH for putting this whole thing together. I just want to say a few thank yous. Chimigwech to Sarah Rote and Catherine Walensky, as well as Kia Ellis, who nominated me for this award. I didn't expect to ever be nominated or to win anything like this. Chimigwech to Gitchi Anishinaabe Kwe Tobias for your opening words and your prayers and bringing in the spirits to this. Chimigwech to our host for keeping us on time and moving forward. And miigwech to all the words and the presenters thus far, and congratulations to all the other champions that have won so far tonight. When I first was thinking about, I come from a sports family, right? So I was thinking, champion of mental health, who am I going to have to defend this championship against next year? Like a wrestling match, right? It's really funny. My journey in my life, I've won this award, and I'm really looking back on where I've been and where I'm going and where I am right now. You know, when I first went to university, I graduated from the University of Manitoba just this past May. My major is in political studies. Well, when I first went to university, I wanted to be a psychologist, but I got a D- in that, but I got an A+ in politics, so I figured that's what I'm going to do. But funny enough, that political side and the thinking that was passed on to me and the education that I got really provided me the foundation that I needed to properly advocate for my people within the mental health realm and the things that we are going through as a community. There are some things I want to say, and it's going to get a bit serious because I've been given a lot of gifts in my life. And one of those gifts is my gift of being able to articulate, to talk, to pass on messages. My other gift is the gift of a hard life and my ability to look into the darkness within myself and my past and be able to see the light beyond it and provide solutions to get to that light. But when we talk about the themes of this gathering tonight, I think it was rebuilding, revitalizing, and reconnecting, I'm pretty sure it was. If we don't look at the truth and the issues, and we don't look at the darkness and some of the places where we're falling short, then we can't achieve those goals. So I just want you to kind of bear with me for the moment. Recently, September 30th, we had our National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I'm happy to be joined here by my parents, Eleanor Skeet and Bert Landon, who are both residential school survivors. My mother went to St. Mary's and my dad went to Cecilia Jeffrey, both located in Kenora. And I'm also joined by my daughter here tonight. She's 11 years old, but she might as well be 17, I guess. But despite a lot of the gains we are making in terms of mental wellness, we seem to still be in a dark place within First Nations communities. We are still haunted by colonization, residential school, the 60s scoop. You know, in this line of work that I've done since I was 12 years old, I've thrown myself 100% into it. I remember one year I spent 270 plus days traveling, advocating at different tables, different cities, different towns, a new hotel, and it left me broken because I was also losing a lot still, and I'm still losing a lot. My friends are still dying all around me. A lot of them didn't get the chance to see 30. There's one person I wish that was here still to see this, and she probably is here watching, but her name was Kelly Fraser. I'm sure a lot of you know who that was. She was my best friend because we lived the same lifestyle, advocating, using our gifts to help our people as best as we can. And unfortunately, she chose that she couldn't carry on in life anymore. And that was devastating for me, and still is. Another friend of mine just recently ended her life, 29 years old. Residential school and the colonization and the policies and the damages haven't ended. Sometimes I think when we have the Truth and Reconciliation events, we talk about it as if it's in the past, it's done, it's over with, but it isn't. We're still feeling it today. I'm still feeling it today. But what inspires me, what pushes me to go beyond my limits is my little girl right there. I never want her to carry the pain that I carry or to live the hardest parts of my life that I lived when I was deep in addiction, when I was self-harming, when I attempted suicide because there was just no other option. You see, but the beauty of it is just that. I choose to stand up. I choose to fight and make things better. When I was growing up in Kenora, Ontario, I was beaten and bullied for being brown. Literally. When I was in school, I was told I was never going to make it to university by a teacher because I was brown. And yet here I am with a degree, so, I always wish I could find him and show it to him. But that's what I mean about conviction and endurance. I chose to not harbor those negative emotions and to be a violent, angry person or to become hardened by my experiences. I chose to try to work with Canadian institutions, organizations, with people so that we build an understanding, so that everyone has the chance at a good life, or minobumatsiwin, as we like to call it. And each and every single one of us in this room has a choice, right? Someone has said it at some point or another within all of this, but each and every single person at all these tables are champions of mental health. You just don't get a nice little fancy trophy like I do. But as we said too, elders, tonight somebody is in a dark place. Tonight somebody is hoping tomorrow is going to be a better day. Tonight there is a friend racing to their other friend's house to make sure that they're okay. These things are happening every single day, and we are left with a choice on what are we going to do. I believe his name was Steve, the workplace champion, was talking about that. We never talked about these things 20 years ago. And I do remember those types of things, like when I was young, I should have been red flagged as someone who was suffering from depression, but we didn't know what we knew then, what we know now. But we have the wisdom now to know what's wrong in the world. We have the wisdom to know that when people are, let's keep with the First Nation example, when people call us belly achers or that we're just looking for handouts or whatever, we know that's wrong. We have that wisdom now. We have the wisdom to know that the suicide crisis impacting First Nation communities is a direct result of Canadian policy from the past. But now we have to use that wisdom to use the courage to say and do what is right. Many of us sometimes are scared of the backlash when we stand up and we say what needs to be said. I know some of you MPs have party whips. I learned that in university. And sometimes, you have to step up to your party if they're doing wrong or they're not doing the right thing. Or those of us in the workplace, if we know our workplace isn't doing right or doing things properly, if let's keep with the First Nation example, and you know that, you have to have the courage to stand up and speak. I wouldn't have won this award if I didn't utilize that courage to say what needs to be said when it needed to be said. So that's the hope. There is a fire burning in each and every single one of us. And some of us who have been given the gift of a hard life, who have been given the gift of loss, we've taken those people that we loved and put their fires into ours. There are people whose fires are flickering. They're dim. And we have to make the choice to reignite those fires across all of Canada, all of Turtle Island, so that we can shine hope within the darkness that exists within our communities. That is our hope. That is our choice. That is our power, if that is what we truly want and what we truly want to do. And I believe every single person here agrees that that is a priority and what we should do, especially for the future generations coming up, so that these kids can live the best lives that they can. So my hope and my dream, and the last thing I'm going to say to you all, and what's been said, and it's not just words, because I'm walking the walk. We have to work together. And there are many champions in First Nations communities who are willing to be there with you, to partner with you, to work, so long as that we're equal and that we understand our strengths. We're not going to defeat the hardships that life throws at us. But we all, from each of our different backgrounds, cultures, and upbringings, have the wisdom and the tools to make life a little bit better. So, as someone once, as I believe another person had said, let's make sure that after tonight, that after another few years, that we can look our grandchildren, if I'm lucky, I can look at my great-grandchildren in the eyes and say I work together with some of the strongest champions I've ever met to make life better for all people. How, miigwech.
I think we should give Wapshki Cabo another round of applause. At this time, I'd like to invite Anita Kuttner, leader of the Green Party, to come and share a few words. Oh, you don't even have stairs on that side.
What a beautiful thing to follow. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. I want to begin as well by acknowledging what has been acknowledged before, that we are on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. And whenever I say these things, they cannot be empty. So I want to remind us, especially all of us who are settlers, of our responsibility, especially right after Orange Shirt Day, a day after the National Day of Action for missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. There's a lot of responsibility for us. And often we think it's not up to us, but it is. And it starts with learning and sharing truth and seeking justice. So first of all, great honor to be here. My heart is full with gratitude for everyone in this room and everyone who's spoken and shared tonight. And congratulations to each winner. Félicitations à chacun d'entre vous. To this year's champions, but also I have to give a shout out to every one of my therapists, without whom I would not be here tonight. And I'll be honest with you, I was yesterday curled up in a ball on my bed having an anxiety attack and wondering what I should talk to you about today. And I felt that all I really have to share with you, other than gratitude, is my story and my truth. And I'm not going to get to all of it, but I'll tell you a little bit. And it's been on my mind in these last weeks with the aftermath of Hurricane Fiona. Loss, grief, crisis, les crises du moment, la perte, mais aussi la pandémie. So my story starts earlier, but when I had just turned 14, a month and a half after I turned 14, a mudslide destroyed my home in North Vancouver. I lost everything I had known, and I had lost my mother. My father was permanently injured with 23 broken vertebrae and actually every limb except for one broken and a few other things. I was away, so I walked fine with my life, but this is trauma. And it is a trauma of privilege. If I had not had what I had, I could not lose what I lost. If I had not had what I had in the years following, I would not be here. But what it had given me is PTSD, is anxiety, is depression, is suicidal ideation. And it's funny because earlier this week I did an interview for the Hill Times, and there's this headline now sitting there saying that even though I'm the leader of a party, I'm still thinking about killing myself. And of course, I then get the messages saying from people, well, is this because of your party? And no, sometimes it's not the easiest to have to admit, but this is because of loss. It is because of everything that so many of us have to face all the time. And this is just a piece of it, ongoing. And I say this only to make normal what is normal for so many people. Consistency of dealing with suicidal ideation, with anxiety no matter the position you're in, no matter the fact that I might have a PhD in black holes. Doesn't matter. We're all people. We all lose. We all struggle. And so this is a piece. I won't tell you about what it's like to be queer and trans, or Asian in a pandemic, or suffering years of abuse. But I see you. I recognize you. I'm grateful for your work. And we have lots to do. Mental health is indeed a core piece of health. We need support. And it all comes down to structure, society, fundamentally what it is to live in this place, living in this world as it is constructed, the foundations that we are on. It is life out of balance, life without connection to the planet, life without connection to each other. And as we face crisis after worsening crisis, with our privileges, with our gifts, with everything that we have, it is our responsibility to always be compassionate, kind, and understanding, to work hard. It is a time to heal oneself so that we may serve as well as we can. And it is a time for openness, for mutual support, and to know that we need this foundation on well-being for everyone. But we also know that in everything we do, and in every day, and every moment that you all spend, we leave a world brighter and better. So with gratitude for you all, thank you so very much.
So I get to play double duty today. I will be singing. No, I'm just kidding. I will, however, be presenting an award, and I've been very excited about this. So I have the honor of presenting the Media Award. This award is given to any media personality or outlet who has contributed to public awareness of mental health or mental illness. The 2022 Media Award winner is Carla O'Reilly, who's not here, but it's fine. You can still applaud for her. She'll feel it. Her ears are burning somewhere. So Carla has been writing, speaking, and spreading social media awareness across Canada for the past 14 years, putting a spotlight on mental health. She co-authored The Smiling Mask, Truths About Postpartum Depression in Parenthood, along with creating the Smiling Mask documentary, both of which have been used as maternal mental health education tools. Not to mention, she also authored Turn on the Switch, in all capitals, Find a Passion and Obsess About It, a book about wellness tools. Now, she's not here, but check out what Carla had to say.
My name is Carla O'Reilly. I'm an author, inspirational speaker, and mental health advocate. In the mental health community, I am an author, I'm a speaker, I'm prevalent in social media. I have written 3 books, The Smiling Mask, Behind the Mask, and my last book was called Turn on the Switch. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to put some light on mental health issues. I wanted to destroy the mask. And so with Turn on the Switch, that's my 15 wellness tools. I really wanted to share the simple, easy ways that I learned myself struggling with severe mental illness to cope. I struggled for 4 years with postpartum psychosis. And really my hope was, when I came out with my first book, was that I didn't want to see any other mothers struggle the way that I had. I think it's so important to work in mental health because it's something that so many people struggle with behind the scenes. You never know when somebody is struggling, and it can then become a crisis. Unfortunately, I struggled with psychosis and obsessive compulsive disorder, and it was very debilitating. And so I kind of had a choice. I could either bow down to the illness, or I could turn around and start talking about it. And that's really where my advocacy started. People, if you haven't experienced it, you can't understand it. And so I think the biggest thing that people need to do is, and what I try to promote, and I think through my writing and my books, is even if you didn't experience it, don't judge it. This is just like any other illness or ailment, but it's to do with the brain. And so there's things that we can't do to stop it. it really needs to be understood with empathy and kindness that this is something that the person can't necessarily stop themselves. But we all need to be kinder about it and more understanding about it. In the next 5 years, I just want to see more mental health practices, but what I would like to see is more holistic practices. To be a champion of mental health it's an honor, but what it means to me is that I conquered my own demons, and through sharing my stories, I gave hope to so many others. I looked for ways and I advocated for myself, and that's something I want to share with people that are struggling with mental illnesses, is that you have to advocate for yourself and you have to look for the hope. You know, this doesn't have to be my sentence in life. I have the choice on how I can conquer this.
And while Carla couldn't be here in person, she was kind enough to record a video with her thank you message.
I would like to thank the Canadian Alliance of Mental Illness and Mental Health for this award. And I would also like to congratulate the recipients for your courage and your bravery. It's inspirational. This award for me is a triumph over the stigma of mental illness. And it also represents a legacy of hope and dedication for mental health advocacy. I believe that we're here to shine our light and make the world a better place. This award is for the mother who first walked into a postpartum support group nearly 16 years ago, who was living in a terrifying world of fear, shame, and sadness, and was afraid to share her story, but found her voice and the courage to destroy the smiling mask and eventually help heal families across Canada. This award is also for my son, Cameron. May we continue to be champions of mental health. Thank you.
I almost don't want to continue because, friends, there's only one more award. Like, we are at the final award of the evening, and it's the Parliamentarian Award. And to present this award, I'd like to introduce Michael Hatch from the Canadian Credit Union Association.
Thanks so much, Chloe. My name is Michael Hatch. I'm with the Canadian Credit Union Association, one of tonight's sponsors. And you know, I have to say, I am neither poet, Wally, nor minister, nor certainly Supreme Court Justice, Madam Justice, nor champion. So I have to say it's with an extreme sense of humility, not to mention as well as a clear demonstration of my own shortcomings as a person, that I take this mic to introduce another mic here this evening. I guess my kids would have called that a dad joke, I guess. The Parliamentarian Award is given every year to an elected representative at either the provincial or territorial or federal level who has done outstanding work in the field of mental health, obviously. Mike Lake is the Member of Parliament and has been the Member of Parliament since 2006 for the riding of Edmonton-Wetaskiwin. And thank you, Mike, for the coaching job on the pronunciation of that. I hope I didn't butcher it too badly. And in his current role as Shadow Minister for Mental Health and Addictions, he's done exactly that, as well as in previous roles with his platform as a long-standing parliamentarian. But the video can describe it much better and more eloquently than I can, so please turn your attention to the screens once again.
Well, I'm the Shadow Minister
for mental health, addictions, and suicide prevention for the Conservative Party. I was appointed to that position last fall, right after the election. You know, we've spent a lot of time over the years working with vulnerable communities in the developmental disability area, in international development, and I think you know, our leader at the time thought that that was a good transition for me, and it's been fantastic. I think you know, we see our role as a connector. Certainly an amplifier of some of the messages that need to be sent, questions that need to be asked in Parliament as well as a parliamentarian.
We all long for meaningful connection. We need to be heard and understood.
You know, no matter who you are, you know, what other label you might have, or, you know, no matter where you live in the country, what age you are, you can struggle with mental health, or you can make decisions that have positive impacts for your mental health. And you know, within the autism community, for example, my son is 26, Jaden, he has autism. He's nonverbal, and you take a look at all of the challenges that he has, the skills and abilities that he has, but you imagine what it might be like to not communicate and not be able to verbally communicate how it is you're feeling, and how that sometimes connects into anxiety. You know, with autism, you have sometimes a difficulty dealing with the abstract world.
As the years go by, we learn more about autism and both the strengths and challenges that come with the label. Still, so much remains unknown.
We don't understand enough about these things, and certainly Canadians who are in the middle of it don't understand always exactly what it is that they're going through or what their loved one's going through. And I think when I think about who's had the most impact on me, it would definitely be my dad.
We didn't then understand OxyContin the way we do now, but I did know my dad. Over time, something was changing. He seemed to be a little fuzzier. It's hard to describe, but he didn't look well over his last several months of his life. That instead, my father could have known me as a member of Parliament, and one that he'd be incredibly proud of. It's way past time we took meaningful action to tackle the opioid crisis and other significant issues of mental health in this country.
And my dad in 2003, on April 29th, 2003, passed away from a lethal dose of OxyContin. And having the opportunity to be in this position over the last year has really caused me to reflect a lot on that time and what we didn't know at that time. But having these conversations has really given me a greater understanding of what he would have been experiencing at that time. On a positive side, we are having better conversations than we used to have as Canadians with one another, and there does seem to be more room for people to share without judgment. Of course, you know, during the election campaign a year ago, one of the nice things about it is, in a world where we seemingly can't agree on anything anymore, all of the parties put together significant platform pieces around mental health. I think for us, for me and my team, I think the recognition is just, you know, really it's a reinforcement that what we're doing matters, that it is making a difference for people that need help. And it encourages us, I think, to continue on the path that we're on, because what we're doing matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Lake, champion of mental health.
Well, it's hard to watch that video and then come up and speak, so I'm going to start by making fun of the guy that introduced me. The fact that he could pronounce Edmonton-Wetaskiwin and then mispronounce pronunciation in the intro. But I feel like we've been sitting together. I can take that shot. I really do appreciate the conversation and appreciate the introduction. I came up with no notes, but I did write one word down, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I wrote Wabish Kagabo, is that right? Am I saying that right? I didn't want to disrespect you by getting your name wrong. And your words were fantastic. And yeah. So, you know, I really, the gift of a hard life, like that is just so profound to think about that. And thank you for sharing. Thank you to everybody for sharing. You know, it's interesting to be up here, and it's interesting to be up here last. I've been thinking about this all day. One of the things that's kind of funny is that I was thinking all day about what I was going to say. I get really nervous, actually, believe it or not, when I'm speaking, and when I know I'm going to be speaking at an event like this, and think about what I was going to say, but I couldn't remember what I actually said in the video. So now I watched the video, and everything I was going to say, I probably said in the video. So like a typical politician, I'm just going to say some more stuff. It is, so first off, take this, I'm going to set this up by saying, just stick with me for a little bit as I say what I'm going to say. So first of all, this is the easiest recognition I think I've ever gotten. And when I say that, it's because so first of all, Sophie, when you emailed me to tell me I was getting the award, you had emailed me earlier asking me to nominate some people, so I nominated some people. And then when I got your email, I was reading through the email, looking at it, looking for who you were giving the award to, and I read right past the part where you were giving an award to me. And then I got to the bottom of the email and said she didn't even tell me who she was giving the award to. So, and the reason it's the easiest is because when I got asked to take on this role by Aaron O'Toole, our previous leader after the last election, it wasn't the role that I'd asked for. And he asked me to take it on, and right away, within minutes, I recognized the importance of the role and was super excited to take it on. And within weeks, not being an expert on mental health at all, I got a chance to know, I mean, how many of you in this room had a Zoom conversation with us within weeks of taking on the role, and suddenly I just felt like I really connected with things, and you made it so easy for me to really find connection with the community. And tonight I'm standing up here, the 7th of 7 award winners, after seeing those videos, and I didn't really know any of the other award winners, and now suddenly I've got 6 more people that I feel connected to and can't wait to sort of walk alongside in our journey. And that's just, I mean, that's fantastic. And so, you know, I really think it's partly because of the stakeholders. It's also because the issues, we live in a world, and you saw a little bit of a video in there where I've talked a lot about the sort of lack of civility in politics. And I mean, I don't have to talk about that. Everybody witnesses it on a regular basis. It's a very difficult world to connect with people who come from different parties. We have these labels, and we forget that our labels are just constructs, our political labels, and we're human beings before we're anything else, right? And so this was an area where there's a common agreement that we need to do something. The platforms all had something in them that was meaningful for mental health. They were different things, but there was something meaningful for mental health in all of the platforms. And I've had the chance to connect with colleagues from every party. You've heard from some of them here tonight. There are a few colleagues that I think came at the last second that didn't get recognized. So I'm going to point out that Larry Maguire is here as well. Glenn Motz is here, and I think Michelle Ferrari is here somewhere as well. So from Parliament. So, but it's just been an absolute pleasure to work together with colleagues from across parties on this important issue. And, you know, one of the conversations I had early on was around, okay, there's a lot of things that we can put on the table and ask for and work towards, and sometimes we throw all those things out there, and it's hard to make sense of where to go from there, and we can't find agreement on things. And really early on, we kind of identified that the 988 suicide prevention hotline was one of those things, and the Canada Mental Health Transfer. We didn't win the election, only one party won the election, and we looked at their platform, and there's a promise in there. So those were the 2 things that we decided to focus on. And Minister Bennett, I have to say, we served together the whole time I've been a member of Parliament, and you've been here longer than I have, but I didn't really know you, and it's been a pleasure. It might not feel like a pleasure all the time when we're in question period or in committee together, but it has been a pleasure working with you, and I've really appreciated you reaching out to hear my thoughts on things. And we are on the road to 988 at the end of November, I think November next year, but we're on a path, and I think that's a good step forward. We're going to continue asking questions about the mental health transfer, but rightfully we should. And I think that if we were in different positions, we would expect that the opposition parties would ask tough questions about issues that are important to Canadians as well. And this is when Parliament is working the best, is when we're focused on those kind of things. And it was great to hear from Gord Johns. Gord, where are you? Yeah, and it's been Gord and I have worked together sometimes. Sometimes we're not 100% on the same page in terms of things, but I've definitely learned from the conversations that I've had with you over time, and the same goes for all of my colleagues. And I'd be remiss, I don't think Todd Doherty's here tonight, but I know he's a past winner, and I would be remiss on the 988 suicide prevention hotline effort if I didn't recognize his incredible work to draw attention to that, to move a motion that was passed unanimously in the House of Commons and built some traction. So yes, please give. And just a couple more things I want to say, if I can. I'm going to, one of the things that I think have, while I didn't really understand right away that I was going to be getting the award, and while I make light of the fact that it's easy, I kind of know why we've been somewhat effective in the role. And I think part of it is because, part of it is because of Wabash Kagawa's comment about the hard things in life. And our hard things in life are different from one another, but there are life experiences that I have in my life that are unique to me that I'm able to share with people and tell stories about. And I'm not afraid to talk. I tend to be fairly authentic, and I think that word has kind of woven itself into the conversation tonight through many of the conversations. My son's 26, you saw him. My daughter's 23, she's in second year law school, and she has some real challenges with anxiety. She's okay that I share that with you here tonight. In fact, she's doing volunteer work in mental health right now as a second year law student. But when she was 13, this is one of the most shy young women you'd ever seen in your life. And when she was 13, we were in an interview, and it was me and her and Jaden was 16 at the time. And the interviewer, who knew us well, so the question may seem pretty harsh, but this interviewer knows us well, asked, Janae, I'm going to ask you a really tough question. Do you ever sometimes wish your brother was quote unquote normal like every other kid? So she's 13 years old. She has no idea this question's coming. And she just takes a deep breath in and she says, well, actually, since Jaden was diagnosed with autism before I was born. So I don't know what a normal brother is like. So Jaden kind of is my normal. He says, you like him just the way he is. And she goes, if he didn't have autism or was cured or something, we'd kind of miss the Jaden we have now, right? And so you just think about how we define normal, right? And our normal, I do a lot of university presentations, so I'm talking to students that live in this sort of virtual video game world, whatever the case is. You can now imagine the Oculus glasses or something like that, a VR world. But I say to students, imagine our normal, if you think about it, for everybody in this room, our normal really consists of, if you could imagine a circle that goes around us for as far as we can see, right? And I'm 53 years old. My circle has followed me around like a video game character for 53 years, and my normal has consisted of things that were in that circle. And sometimes the TV or computer screen gets in the middle of that circle, and it shares some things from outside that circle. But every one of us, our circles interact sometimes, but for the most part, we're in different areas. So we don't really, our experience is very, very different from one another. We are better when we let more people into our circle. We're better when we learn more about what it's been like for someone in the universe that they've walked for the amount of time that they've walked on this planet as well. And I think that that's the real value of a night like tonight, where we get together and we recognize and we tell stories and we celebrate with people who are kind of working in a similar area but with completely different journeys, is that we get a chance to walk inside someone's circle, so to speak, and be a part of that experience through the stories that we're sharing and everything else. And that is so critically important. And I just want to thank you so much for including me in your special night tonight. So thank you all so much.
Plugging in. Picture Wait, still plugging in? Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, Sophie Normand, for inviting me to this excellent celebration and managing me today and wrangling me. Congratulations to all the champions. I've been listening back there and some very powerful things. And to the politicians, you kept it under control. We're only 33 minutes over. It's good. And we do have to work together. And if anyone, I would like to work with you all. I know there's various organizations here tonight I've worked with before. We're back at it. We're back at work. And just email them. I don't have a manager or an agent or anything. I'm unmanageable, obviously. But just, I do have a boss. Her name is Andrea. Just email Andrea at SeanMcCannSings.com, and I'll come and celebrate with you too, I hope. Now, I think this is the end. We should go out with a bit of a bang. Is there any Great Big Sea fans here? Lawrence, Steve, yeah? Well done. And Kim? Oh yeah, there's a bunch. We're gonna take over. We all come up to Ottawa, you know, and check it out because we want to see where all our money goes. But there's a few Great Big Sea fans here. That's good. That's good. I should probably sing a Great Big Sea song. You know, when I mention Great Big Sea these days, I usually get the same response. My mom loves your band. I just met the photographer and took a selfie for her mom because she loves my band. It's true. Oh, I love you, moms. I love you back. You know, I did the last tour with the band. It was our 20th anniversary tour. And I did it. I got on the Great Big Bus, sober, for 16 months. And I got off it sober, too. But you know what? It did cause a lot of tension. I had changed my world, but the world hadn't changed. And, you know, my typical day at the office would start at 4 o'clock. I'd show up and our rider would be there for sound check. And it was usually a bottle of whiskey or rum, 4 bottles of wine, and 48 beer. So it was hard. And at the end of that tour, I got off the bus and there was a lot of anger between us. And I'll take 1/3 of the blame, absolutely, and I always did. But I swore I'd never sing another Great Big Sea song. That's how angry I was. It was a dark place for a while. And I was sitting at home at St. John's, wondering what I would do next. And then one day the phone rang, and I got an invitation from this little town called Burlington on the north side of the island. Burlington, Newfoundland. It's nothing like Burlington, Ontario at all. Small population, maybe 500 people. And they were having a festival called The Gathering. It was a cool idea. And they asked me if I'd come sing. And I said, yeah, I'd like to, but I wanted to manage expectations, you know? I didn't want them to think I'd show up and just do all the Great Big Sea songs, you know, like for cheap, you know? And they said, yeah, come on out, man. Sing whatever you want. So I took Old Brown, and I drove 6 hours into the middle of nowhere, Newfoundland. And when I got out there, I saw there's like 4 churches in this little community. Good people. Then I get there and I meet the committee. I look around the site and I see there's no beer tent. And I start to figure it out. I asked them, why is there no beer tent there? And they said, well, we were only allowed to have this festival because the churches got involved. Thank goodness. If there's no alcohol being served. And then I realized why they called me. I was the only musician in Newfoundland who was willing to work under those harsh conditions. I'm walking around behind the stage, which is down on the beach. All brown in my hands, practicing some songs, and I noticed this woman crawling around on her hands and knees in the bushes behind the stage. Florence. It wasn't Florence, no. That's good. It could have been, I don't know. No, it wasn't Florence. I went over to this woman because I thought she might have lost something. And I asked her if she was okay, if she needed any help. She said, no, I'm fine. I'm just looking for 4-leaf clovers. Wow. Then she got up, she looked me right in the eye, and she said, I know who you are. You're Sean McCann. And I came here to tell you something. You should never give up, Sean McCann. Just like that, first words out of her mouth, complete stranger. And she went on, she said, my name is Annalise Boyer. I'm from Fergus, Ontario, and I'm a great big sea fan. But 10 years ago, I was hit by a drunk driver. And I have a brain injury. And because of that brain injury, I can't go to any of your concerts. The bright lights and the volume and the crowds, they give me seizures. When I heard you were playing here in the middle of nowhere, Newfoundland, all by yourself under the stars, I thought maybe I could hear you sing again, Sean McCann. Are you going to sing any great big sea songs tonight? I am now. I got a smile on my face and I got 4 walls around me. I got the sun in the sky, the water surround me. Oh, you know, I might win some, sometimes I lose. I've been better, but I never bruise. It's not so bad. And I say, wait, hey, hey. Sing it, moms. At the end of the day, you just gotta say it's alright. It's alright. Jeannie sits on the corner, what keeps her from dying? Let them say what they want, she won't stop trying. Oh, you know, she might stumble if they push her around. She might fall, but she'll never lie down. It's not so bad. And I said, wait, hey, hey, just an ordinary day, and it's all your state of mind. At the end of the day, you just gotta say it's alright. It's alright. That night I got up on that little stage in the middle of nowhere, Newfoundland, and I sang every friggin' great big sea song that I could remember. And you know what? With every song I sang, I felt lighter. I felt better. And I felt the peace come over me that I hadn't felt in years. And when I was finished my set, Annalise Boyer from Fergus, Ontario came up and gave me a great big hug. And she gave me this. This is the 4-leaf clover that she picked for me that day behind that stage in Newfoundland. She never gave up until she found it. And to me, this is a miracle. I've been looking for 4-leaf clovers my entire life. I still can't find one. And so this showed up, and I put it in a paper cup and full of water. I bought it home, sent it to Montreal, and they dipped it in silver. So I could keep it with me to remind me of the wonderful lesson this complete stranger taught me that day. And that's that anger. Anger is always our real enemy. Anger never, ever wants to help or to heal. Anger only wants to divide and destroy. But luckily for us, we all have, each and every individual in this room, we all have in our hearts the one weapon that always defeats anger. And that, my friends, is love. In this beautiful life, there's always some sorrow. Ooh, it's a double-edged knife. There's always tomorrow. Oh, you know, it's up to you now if you sink or swim. Keep the faith, your ship will come in. It's not so bad. And I said, wait, hey, hey, you got it. We're gonna go on tour. One more time as loud as you can for the moms. Way, hey, hey, just an ordinary day, and it's all your. At the end of the day, you just gotta say it's alright. It's alright. I got a smile on my face, and I got 4 walls around. Thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations to the champions. We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. Thank you, everyone, and good night to all.
All right, let's give it up for Sean one more time. We look forward to going on tour. My rider consists of Skittles and M&Ms, so we'll be fine. Oh, it's always so bittersweet when you get to the end of an evening that has been as special, as beautiful, as impactful as this one. And it has been such an honor to be able to stand up here alongside so many heroes, including our champions, of course, especially during Mental Illness Awareness Week, to celebrate the CAMIMH champions of mental health. Tonight's gala was made possible by the generous support of Bell Let's Talk, the Mental Health Commission of Canada, Lundbeck Canada, Innovative Medicines Canada, the Canadian Credit Union Association, and Impact Public Affairs. Thank you so much for making tonight possible. Thank you as well to the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health for the important work they do and for organizing these awards every single year. Thank you. I want to come back. We all look very nice all dressed up. And finally, I'd like our champions to stand up, please. Come on, get up. Thank you so much to our 2022 champions for the work they do in their communities, for their mental health advocacy, and for being champions in the mental health space every single day. And now, because I think movement is a beautiful tool in my toolbox for mental health, everybody stand up. Give yourselves a round of applause because everybody here is a mental health hero. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Merci beaucoup à tout le monde. Bonne soirée. Please get home safe.